It's one of those nights when you start thinking about emotional intelligence. And as we spoke about before, it's about stabilization. Tonight was one of those nights that knocked me off of my stability just slightly. I was on the verge, I was close. But I definitely know that this practice that I've been going through, this rehearsal of going through these 12 steps each day, stopped me and started bringing me back and helped me think to myself and say out loud to myself, emotional intelligence. To understand that I have been in different places and I've done different things. And I can be angry and upset. And I can do things that can really hurt people if I'm pushed to that fold. Let me explain, okay? Because I was in a situation tonight where a young person was being a little belligerent in our building and being an older adult who has received respect from this person before, I figured they would continue to exhibit that amount of respect to their elder or to somebody they treated as an elder when they were sober. However, don't argue with idiots. I mean, when we argue with idiots, sometimes we find ourselves in situations. And I wasn't even arguing with an idiot. I was actually talking to his mother. And in front of his mother, he forcibly yelled in her face and then turned to me and told me not to touch him when I wasn't even touching him. And then he pushed at me. And my first instinct kicked in, and that's where sometimes you have to stop and pause what I was saying before about the reaction. My first instinct was to take off my Apple Watch. Old school mentality came out. But when he took the step forward, I had to at least take a stance, because if I backed down any further, it would be a different situation, knowing from somebody who's been in combat before. And knowing from somebody who's been in a situation before where if you back up too much, they can take the leeway and knock you off your balance. So you have to take a stance to hold them back. And so this kid decided he wanted to try to wrap his arms around my neck. Now, today I spent the whole day with my mother and my mother's wife and her good friends from when they were young, and I did some physical labor. I ate well too, and in the process of doing physical labor, I did some heavy physical labor today. I helped my mom move some heavy things around, and I noticed that I'm a little bit stronger because I've been doing my physical workouts and getting my physical therapy together. So a lot stronger. Well, especially once the adrenaline starts kicking. Once the adrenaline starts picking, I picked this kid up and I slammed him on the ground. And I held him down with his face down. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, don't hurt him. One, because remember, he's got his arm around my neck. He just grabs his arm around my neck, but I'm picking him up and holding him down to get him to unlock from my neck. And I'm thinking to myself, don't hurt him. And as he squeezes tighter, I push harder on his neck. And then I hear from behind me somebody say, let go of him, let go of him. So I let go, and I put my arms up. My arms up, and somebody's holding one of my arms, and my other arm is up against a tree that's up in front of me. And this kid is not letting go. Matter of fact, he's squeezing tighter. Squeezing tight enough that he's almost starting to choke me. And almost starting to black out. The problem is when I black out, funny things happen to the people around me. And I vaguely remember saying, I'm getting angry. And when I started to say I was getting angry, I saw a flash in me wanting to really hurt this child. He's 20 years old. I say child, I say that from the standpoint of, yes, he is above 18 as an adult. However, he's a child in my book. That flash, that red, as we've said before in songs, I mean, Sublime, saw red, these things right there happen to us all. I saw red, and I got myself loose from his tight grip, because he had a really good grip. But I was able to, once I pushed his head back into the ground again. And once I pushed his head back into the ground, the thoughts that were passing my head, I might have reacted on had I not have the emotional intelligence that I've been working on. You see, it's not just about protection of yourself sometimes. It's protection of the people around you. It's the ability to gain a certain amount of respect. Now, don't get me wrong, to calm down, I was not as emotionally intelligent as I wanted to be after I got loose from him. I pushed myself away and kept myself from hurting him. But at the same time, I found myself in a angry mode, which I needed to stabilize. And it took me a moment to stabilize it, but I didn't do anything worse. And mind you, this kid was still doing worse. Throwing stuff at people, yelling stuff at people, even at his mom right there. He tried to hit his mom a couple of times, pushed up against his mom. And other people were out here trying to stop him. He's laying on the ground. Somebody brought him a thing of milk. He slapped the milk out of their hand. He's taking his shirt off. He's laying around on the ground. He's doing all kind of crazy stuff. Now, we could have easily called the cops on him. And remember, I said, this is a kid who's been respectable to me in the community before. We don't want to do that. We don't want to send him to a place where it may change his world for 20, 30 years down the line, especially finding out that he might be underage and he's been drinking alcohol. I don't know where he got it from. I wasn't the one to give it to him, but, you know, hey, he's disturbing the peace in front of my place of rest, you know? And all I'm doing is trying to get him to go home with his mother. And this is his reaction. So sometimes we have to look at where we're at in the world, what we're doing in the world, how we're seeing the world, and how the world reacts to us. Not every time are you going to be in this situation. Not every time is your house going to catch on fire. Not every time is your car going to stop in the middle of a freeway, Teslas. Not every time are you going to have things that happen to you. Somebody steals your credit card while you're swiping at an ATM. Or your ATM card while you're swiping at an ATM. Oh, people don't know what an ATM card. Your debit card while you're at a debit card. I mean, at an ATM, automatic teller machine, while you're trying to withdraw money with your debit card. So I'm just trying to help people understand we may end up in these situations. We may end up at a time when we go into the DMV to renew our license and find out that our license is suspended from another state for a crime we didn't commit. A crime that's not even in the system. But we have to deal with them, and we have to look at our emotional intelligence. One more time, we have to look at our emotional intelligence. Look at how we're reacting and see how we can be more intelligent about how we control our emotions, our thoughts, and the process of what we do. Because if we don't, we're steering clear away from being stable. And being stable is what allows us to be signal proof. So with that being said, folks, if you like what I'm talking about, if you like what I've been sharing with you today, please come by. Please come by. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you feel. Tell me what's going on and what you're understanding out here. Because each of us have a different perspective. Some of y'all might hate me for what I just did. Some of y'all might love me for what I just did. Some of y'all might just be like, oh, you're a fool for even getting involved, for even being around. I know I'm going to hear all kinds of perspectives. But my question to you is this: what would you have done? So if you like what I'm talking about, if it resonates with you, please hit that like button, smash that like button, drop by, drop a comment, drop by, subscribe, or follow on whatever channel that you're catching this. With that being said, this is Doc. Peace. I'm out of here.